All right.
Give me 1 second here. Make sure everything's good. Okay. Awesome. So great. Welcome everyone. So in today's community meeting, we're going to be talking about video formatting with Paolo here. Just before you get started here, just some quick announcements. If you haven't done the skills questionnaire, please go ahead and do that. That's through the channels there. I think in under announcements, you might see that, or under general as well. If you're unable to find that, either just message myself or Joseph. We'll be happy to send you the link there. That will be closing this weekend, so make sure you get that in as soon as you can. And with that, I will throw it over to Paulo.
Muted.
Your audio is not on.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, thank you, Jimmy. I'm gonna go share my screen, and I'm gonna show my slides here. It's like I don't think I want to treat this like a an Apple, like good morning, and keep the whole thing. We'll keep it fresh and raw, and we can open files as we go. So I'm Paolo. This is a bento box because I always want to try doing a bento box. Bento boxes are so cool. Just a bunch of stuff that's like all around me. I've been doing a couple of things, computer science, been doing stuff in photography and stuff. I've been editing several things from short films or things that are recap. I don't even know if this audio is playing, but
No, no audio.
so you get like,
High fashion,
What you can do with film and fashion is make it
oh,
come alive.
award-winning movies,
Thank you.
so like montages, reels, fashion stuff. I'd either be on set, not set, designers. So yes. So there's like a bunch of things that I've done, and there's like a couple of stuff that I've edited. I went into computer science because I saw this convergence of media and tech coming in. So when I was there, I was very focused on video processing, image rendering, all that stuff that I could think about trying to make things look really nice. So that's how I kind of got into this. But I'm coming in from a lens of someone who produces in film. So for the workshop, I'm going to be covering getting started with video, codecs, formats, capture, spatial audio. And at the very end, I'll have a Q&A, and if folks have topics that they want me to talk a little bit more, I can be able to add that on the next workshop. I also have slides that I pulled up from my previous classes as well, which I can pull if we can talk about like shots, extreme close up, medium close up. I can just pull that out and put it in. I didn't really clean those slides. I just pulled them out of a folder from teaching many years back. so so when we're doing the this this documentary, we want to also create cinematic presence. And that's that magical feeling when the audience forgets they're watching and just feels like they're there. And that's something we want to be able to do. And we can achieve that through objects, the space, through sound. And this is because we often lose ourselves in the immersion on certain experiences. We lose ourselves in reading a book, watching a movie, listening to music, or playing a game. And the immersive medium of immersive video or just documentary or stuff that's created with Apple Vision Pro allows us to experience all of this in different ways. We can read something and then learn a little bit more by watching a video clip, hear audio, or interact as if we're in a game. That it asks something from us to do something, whether that's picking up, clicking, or tapping. So to achieve this, we have to think about the clear focus. The viewer always knows where to look. So if we're filming something or we're putting things, we have to make sure that the viewer knows where to look, or at least where they need to position themselves. Has to come in a natural perspective. The camera placement feels like you're a human person, or if we know who the viewer is in this narrative. Are they the observer? Are they someone the person is talking to? Or are they just God that goes anywhere as the camera moves? We have authentic sound, spatial audio that matches the visuals, and emotional proximity. Subjects feel close in both distance and connection, but not too close. Comfortable pacing. This is where it comes on the editing. The movement and the cuts feel smooth, not disorienting. And there's a lot of conversation and ideas about comfortable pacing. And you'll notice that very differently with each of the different Apple immersive videos or other videos that folks have edited. Some folks cut too abruptly, some folks cut with dissolve, some people cut with intention. And you'll sort of get an idea of how you want yours to be cut and how you feel. So, getting started with video, and this is a very, very deep topic. Not really deep, but to talk about what is a codec, because I know we've heard the word codec a lot, and I know some folks here have heard term codec. So codec means encoder, decoder. It's how the video is written and how the video is played back, often compressed to reduce file size. There are some codecs that are easy to edit, large files, and harder to edit, smaller files. What a codec is not. Containers, not the same as codecs. Containers hold video, audio, subtitles, timecode, metadata. And examples of containers, MOV, MP4, MKV. And why do so many codecs exist? Because video is very huge. An uncompressed video can go up to 221 megabits per second. 30 minutes can go up to 50 gigs. And codecs make it practical for us to record, to edit, and upload. And bitrate. How much data per second, higher bitrate, higher quality, but codecs try to use fewer bits more efficiently. Cleaner images are easier to compress. Noisy and grainy images are harder to compress. New codecs, how codecs reduce data. Image is broken into blocks. Blocks approximate the original image. More bits, better approximation. Too few bits, visible artifacts. I don't want to dive much into this because we want to just focus on taking videos, but just to give an idea. We have lossy codecs and lossless codecs. Lossy discards some data, smaller files, most common in video. Lossless, identical to the original, huge files, mostly used in VFX high-end cinema. And here is the sort of codec triangle that I think about. Higher the quality, essentially where it's going to be. Are you having something that's here, a low bitrate, high quality, and complexity? So we have to figure out where we are in all of this and where we are when we're filming. Here are the most common codec examples: ProRes, 422HQ, easy to edit, high quality, large files, HEVC, H.265, 10-bit 422, and the H.264 that we all know, it plays everywhere. It's small files, but it's very limited in grading. Why 8-bit, 10-bit, 422, and 420 matter. In immersive video, color errors are more visible because the image fills your entire field of view. Gradients span large areas: sky, walls, fog. Head movement exaggerates banding and artifacts. So if you film on a Canon R5C in H.264 and you color correct, you'll notice that by changing the color temperature, it affects more of the entire image than something specific, versus recording in Canon RAW and then converting that to ProRes HQ, ProRes SQ, and medium and small. I'm trying to remember what they are. For the different formats we have for this documentary, we have different possibilities from 2D, 3D, spatial, 180, 360, wide field of view, and Apple Immersive Video. 2D video will be experienced like this trailer of Severance. It'll just be a screen, floating screen, expanded view, can transition to a dock state in a virtual environment created with Reality Composer Pro. And this is just any video we can capture. This can be captured on an iPhone, Canon, anything really. Standard flat video, one image for both eyes, MP4, MOV, ProRes placed in a flat window. And usually what I do to get more information about a video, I open it in QuickTime and I hit Command I or Window Inspector. It tells me everything I need to know about the video. It tells me it's H.264, MPEG, tells me about the color, also tells me how the audio was recorded as well. And we have 3D. We have it in a floating screen and can transition to a dock state in a virtual environment created with Reality Composer Pro. We have side-by-side video and interpreted to anaglyph. So 2 images, one for each eye to create stereoscopic depth. Frame is still flat. 3D capable cinema cameras, stereoscopic rigs, some VR 180 and side-by-side. And you can see by the current size, it's 3840 and 2160. And this is interpreted in the delivery in software to have both those images split down the middle and then combined to have that one 3D image. There is a sample code that does this, so you're able to put side by side and interpret it as 3D video. And then we have spatial. Spatial video is stereo video with extra metadata for depth. Can be shown in a window, iPhone 15, iPhone 16, Apple Vision Pro, Canon EOS R7 with dual fisheye lens, and MOV with special metadata. And it's using high efficiency video coding. I don't want to dive too much into this, but there is a video that talks about how it finds the similar color properties on the other eye to be able to make sure that the file is a lot smaller. So 2D, 3D spatial videos uses rectilinear projection, which means all the lines are straight. Non-rectilinear video is the 180, 360, and wide FOV. This one stretches the entire video across the entire screen, so you get the straight lines, and in the experience, you're able to look up, look to the left, look to the right, and get those straight lines the same way as you would for a rectilinear projection. It's a half-sphere view in front of the user, usually stereo for depth and realism, can be captured by multiple cameras, and MOV MP4 with Apple Projected Media Profile for immersive playback. And then we have 360. It covers the entire field of view, so you're able to look back and look around. Can be captured with, hey Siri, stop. I don't know what I said. Insta360, X4, X5, 1RS, GoPro Max, Kandao, KuCam, 8K. And then you have wide FOV, shot with the GoPro, Insta360.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. For more info, check the home app.
So these are folks that I've already seen. You can grab actually these cameras in Costco. I know they were available there for like $300, I believe. Captures a very wide image, 120, 180, but it's not a full sphere. It's good for POV and action. And then the Apple Projected Media format is sort of like a metadata that's placed inside the file. So when it's sent through the Vision Pro, it's immediately interpreted and knows what to do with it. But by default, it can accurately guess what kind of video it is built in. And we have the Apple Immersive Video format that not everyone would be able to have access to, but we do hope that we have folks who will be able to put a schedule and lend their cameras for us to film. It's high-end stereo immersive format, 8160, 7200 per eye, 210 horizontal FOV, Blackmagic Ursa Cine Immersive Pro only, and Apple Immersive Video with custom metadata. The content goes, you capture, you edit, you preview and validate, and then you segment for compressor. And these are all the different types of formats that we can be able to film and use for this documentary. And I would take a guess that a good amount will probably be using spatial, which is what folks can be able to film with their existing devices on the iPhone. I know folks will be able to acquire 180, 360, and some will have Apple Immersive Video. There are WWDC videos to be able to learn more about this in all these different formats. So what do I pick? And that depends on a couple of things. Story needs, tools and workflow, computing power, and your budget. So thinking about what story do you want to tell for your segment in the documentary? If you're trying to say how you got into VR because of a beautiful vista or scene, it'd be great to maybe capture that in a stereoscopic photo that you can capture on your iPhone, or maybe a panorama, or you can take a 180 video. Or if you want something more intimate, you can try filming yourself in spatial, and you can transition between those different formats. To capture, we will plan to release a forum and ask folks who have cameras to share availability so folks can come in and film themselves. So that's something I'll be working with Jimmy and the rest of the folks. So capturing on what is available, the spatial video that is available on our iPhones. How you place the camera matters. Camera at human eye level, not chest, not overhead. Try to match the viewer's perspective, not the traditional cinema framing. Avoid extreme tilts or roll. In spatial video and immersive video, the viewer is the camera. Try to keep sure that you are 1.5 or 3 meters away and the camera is just another person in the room. So try to position in such a way that feels natural. And in the frame, make sure that there's adequate spacing around the subject from the head and the sides. Horizon level and stable, subjects are placed naturally in front, not too close. Avoid fast lateral motion near the camera. Poor framing can cause discomfort, disorientation, and loss of presence. Do not forget the headroom. The headroom is very important, especially when we're doing things with spatial, because it tends to crop out this section. So always have good amount of headroom. Be cautious with the horizon and do not tilt often. The horizon is the viewer's sense of upright, and the horizon is the visual reference for balance and gravity. So make sure that this horizon isn't tilted in a Dutch angle sort of way. It'll be a very, very odd experience unless you need that disorientation to start, but test and see how it feels before submitting it, because if we do receive it and we test it, folks get disoriented, we might need to correct it in various ways. Subject should be 1.5 to 3 meters away. Too close feels invasive. Too far feels flat. Depth, not zoom, creates immersion. Minimize camera movement. Prefer slow, deliberate motion, and let subjects move within the scene. So, what app? So there are 2 apps that I currently know, unless folks can chime in and share their thoughts. We have QuickTime Player. Let me open up screen. Okay. So we have the spatial video that we can be able to use built in on the iPhone as well. We can take a spatial photo. We have a couple of options that we're able to do. I don't know if I can rotate this. Can I be able to rotate this? I guess I can't. Oh well, we'll deal with this, I guess. In that way, we're able to adjust exposure and my video mode. Not video mode. There we are. Video mode.
I'm rotating now.
No, it won't allow me. I was hoping I could hijack it in that way. Rotate your screen next time you're reviewing this. I guess I'm gonna put a TikTok, rotate your screen. So when you film yourself, you can see this little line in the middle. It tells you if your horizon is centered or not. So it would be great to have a tripod. By default, it only shoots in HD because it's shooting in 4K, meaning the whole width, and you're only getting 1080 out of that 4K. Yeah, divided by 2. It's asking me to move far away. I have footage here. I'm talking, I'm speaking, blah, 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 blah. So this is the one app. The other app that I use is called Spatialify. This app was one of the early apps that allowed you to create spatial video before the formats were even introduced, allowed you to combine separate. I really, really like this tool. So it has a camera on the upper right. Cool thing about this is it can shoot in 4K 30, as you can look to the right. It can also shoot in HD 60 and HD 30. And it can go to HDR and SDR. It has the stabilization as well, and it has spatial audio turned on and disabled. So I'm going to do 4K, 30 frames. Okay, film, 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 film. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, I have these 2 files. I'm going to airdrop them. So depending on what version of Mac OS you're on, airdropping sometimes changes the format of the file, depending on what Mac OS you're on. This one is, I'm guessing, the 4K one. So you can see it's 4K, it's spatial, the audio format is APAC, that's ready for us to use, 8-bit depth, audio is high order ambisonics, 3 tracks, so that gives us the spatial audio that we need. I'm going to open up the next one. I'm guessing this is the same one. It's different. I think this is this. Actually, let me see if this. Oh no, I shot twice. I forgot. I shot twice on the This one was the other one I needed. This one was the other one. Okay. There you go. You can see it is HEVC spatial, and it's in 1080, 8-bit, 29, and stereo.
It's no longer APEC.
Yep, no, it's no longer APEC. This was the one shot on the iPhone app, and then the other one was shot with the other app as well. What I am doing on the side is I'm trying to build a recorder, but right now all I did was do the blah 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 blah. So we can all use a free app. So I'm using higher order ambisonics for this one. So I'm kind of working on that, but these are the two apps. Both are really good in capturing spatial video. One is the camera app, and the other one is Spatialify. I don't know if I don't know how much that costs. And if anyone has another app they can recommend. So
There's the Black Magic app, and there's the Apple. Sorry, my memory.
Final Cut.
Final Cut camera. There's a camera app.
Does the Blackmagic capture in spatial?
Should be able to. I mean, I haven't actually tried it because I wasn't testing with that app.
Yeah, I don't think either the Blackmagic or the Final Cut camera, neither of those shoot in spatial, weirdly. But I can imagine it coming in an update, but at least last time I checked them both, that wasn't capable.
Okay, my apologies.
No, I would have been excited. I was like, oh man, that would be so cool.
Yeah, especially the Blackmagic one, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I really love this. This is going to be a whole conversation and topic just to talk about like what is the ramping, the zoom, 24, 48, all of these nuts and bolts of the Blackmagic camera. Okay. So those are the two apps we have. We're okay if you filmed either on your Apple Vision Pro or your iPhone. Your Apple Vision Pro films at I do not have an Apple Vision Pro sample that I can quickly access at this time. Yeah, I do not have one at this time. So it films in a square aspect ratio, 2200 by 2200. Just make sure that it is stable and it is not shaking, and know that it's filming with your left eye. Maybe you would need somebody to wear it and stand in front of you if that's the only spatial video camera that you own. So let's talk about spatial audio. Make sound behave like it does in real life, fixed in space, not stuck to your headphones. I asked this question, is spatial audio an illusion we build, or is it reality captured as is?
So I have a question about this, actually.
Go on, yeah.
Spatial audio with a piece of media makes perfect sense. But I'm curious how it's going to work with multiple pieces of media that are positioned slightly in different points of like the field of view. So, for example, if we had a little bit of spatial audio with a spatial video, or a square spatial video, but we position that off to the left, will Reality Kit? This is more of a rhetorical question, but will Reality Kit play that spatial audio as if the whole thing is centered over there, or will it still kind of consider the center of that space kind of relative to
So
the user's head?
it will play it as if it's left to the side because there is a piece of line that you can spatialize stereo. There is a spatialized stereo.
Because it's almost like we have like two layers to the spatial audio, where the video itself is, and then the spatial audio inside the video. So like
Yes.
almost like two virtual coordinate spaces, but in this case it's audio spaces.
Mm-hmm. It is. I feel like I gotta find it. I always have a
Yeah.
problem trying to find a line of code in developer. I have to but the fastest way is I'm just gonna go open up the project and go find that line of code
I mean, you're
because
introducing me to phase. I've never even heard of phase before, huh?
it's June 2024. Face listener. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go open that on the site and find that. Okay. Well, I talk about spatial audio. It's called spatialize. Spatialize. I'll find that. Okay. So we have ambisonics, where we capture the sound field as it is around the mic, like a photo, and object-based rendering, where we take separate sound sources and place them anywhere we want in 3D space. And we film audio through the traditional means: mono, single audio channel. All sounds are mixed into one track, no sense of direction, a single microphone in the center of a room. Everything sounds like it's coming from the same place, kind of like a Beatles recording, because those are mono tracks that have been placed left and right. We have spatial audio, which is stereo, and two channels left and right. This adds a horizontal sense of space. Music is pan, so instruments are spread across the left and right speakers. What you hear, you can tell if a sound is more to your left or more to your right, but not above you or behind you. And those can be simulated by fading and echo, but it feels a bit different. And you have ambisonic. It's to record the entire sound field around the microphone, capture sound in all directions, X, Y, Z, not just left and right. Think of it like a 3D audio bubble that you can rotate in post-production. We have first order ambisonic, second order, third order, and higher order, even more channels. And it requires 4-channel recorders at the expense of reduced spatial cues and a smaller sweet spot compared to 2OA, second order or third order ambisonics. The iPhone has 4 microphones, which can be used to capture first order ambisonics. We have second order, larger sweet spot, and third order. And then we have object-based. This is an old slide, so it's Dolby Atmos. Instead of locking audio into channels, you can record or create sound effects and attach them metadata where they says they should be in 3D space. If you have multiple or mono or stereo tracks, can that be considered? Yes. You can place them in different positions and they can move around how they're used and delivered. This can be done with DaVinci. When you're editing an immersive video, you're able to attach moving objects and have an audio source as it moves. You can do the same with Reality Composer Pro by having those audio components animate, moving from point A to point B or anywhere you want them in your scene. I don't know why I added this, but ways to export: WAV, ambisonic WAV, used for production; ASAF, the production format that defines how audio is spatially positioned; ADM is the project itself. It has all the data and metadata. That's the one that's transferable from Logic to DaVinci to the Dolby DAW. APAC is the encoded final output for design for delivery, and AAC is for broader streaming platforms, lightweight. How I typically listen to this is on the Files app or even on Mac OS. I select the audio file, I select this and I make sure it's head track so I can be able to turn around and listen to it. And there are samples for that. To position, it'd be great to position the ambisonic microphone where the camera is positioned so that the sound field is captured exactly as is. If you're doing mono microphones, it'd be great to put them in the space of the singer so you can position them virtually and when you're editing the experience. And then if you're doing 360, it'd be great if the camera is positioned in the center and you have the microphone in the middle so it captures the entire sound field. To answer Joseph's question, I feel like this is like peek behind the curtain and you can see how ugly all my model and my views are. And I'm like, let me see, player model, immersive. Current navigation node. Function, church, entity. Sorry for the silence. I am just trying to find that little piece of line of code that simulates, but we can also talk about that in the coding section. But you can interpret the stereo in its position and spatialize it. So when you're having a Reality Composer Pro, you can have the video, and the audio is interpreted to be spatialized. So when you move the source to the left, the audio will be coming from here. And if you have another audio source that's here, then you will be hearing them to your left and to your right. I don't know if that answers your question, Joseph, but it is possible to do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
And we have ways to edit videos. We have Adobe Premiere. I had to put it here because lots of everybody started with Adobe Premiere, and Adobe Premiere controls almost every on the YouTube editor, so everyone most definitely knows this. We have Final Cut Studio. It's spatial ready, has student discounts. Not really students here, but cons for me, I see are file storage because it creates these Final Cut projects that get really, really chunky, and then I have to move them around and zip them. It just becomes a hassle for me when I try to archive them, but zipping them helps. DaVinci Resolve, spatial immersive video ready, has video coloring. There is rental licensing, so you can actually rent DaVinci for like $20 or $15 a month. And there's a one-time purchase. Free version is limited. Storage and stronger computer might be needed. Spatial audio editing, Logic Pro X 10, spatial audio ready, one-time purchase. Pro Tools, there's also a one-time purchase. It's the industry standard, and there are plugins ready for this. When we're filming our things, we have to think about storage. We need to have fast SSDs, prioritize Thunderbolt 3, 4, or 5. So we have smooth editing, avoid HDDs, too slow for real-time playback. I consider RAID setup, always keep working drives separate from archive drives. And I've been editing my videos in ProRes, and it's super large instead of it coming from the camera. I've changed the way I've done things, but it has smoother playback and keeps quality, allows me to color correct very easily. I think I already talked about the formats. Yeah, so that's the stuff I have for today's workshop. Thank you all for listening, and we can have a conversation and I can pull stuff out as things are when folks have questions and stuff.
So I think it would be cool to talk about next steps. And I have an idea for kind of like a tiny mini version of this that we could do with capturing footage and also working with the app team to do some test concepts. So rather than like pick a silly topic and ask half a dozen volunteers to capture a clip about that topic in whatever formats we can muster together. And we can specifically tap people who have like, oh, you've got this type of camera. Can you record 30 seconds of this?
We can all make that right now, like topic. Talk about it. Take close up videos, photos of it. Talk about it in
Mhm.
take close up spatial videos of it. Um, I will volunteer. Talk about it in spatial video. You can talk about something completely random, a donut, food, a book you've read, or something that
How about that? It's kind of a general question. Favorite type of dessert. Just describe your favorite kind of dessert. What do you like
uh,
about it? Something like that. I think everybody can talk about ice cream or cookies.
my brother does not consider ice cream as a dessert. He just thinks it's just cold cream.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it's like it's like okay, he'd prefer cheesecake over ice cream. Favorite type of dessert. Talk about it in spatial video. Take close-up spatial video and photos of it. What else? What else would they need? This is
I mean,
volunteers.
I mean, I'm hoping we can get a couple different formats together. So some spatial video, maybe someone in a persona, someone with just a regular iPhone video, anybody who has like a GoPro or something like that. Several members have Blackmagic uh, immersive camera. I don't know if this is worth bothering them to like, hey, can you get that out and set it up for
It's
30 seconds?
the most expensive cheesecake ever. Like,
Yeah.
get a red cheesecake recorded in immersive video. If you can also maybe get photogrammetry, that would be nice too. There is a uh, I'm mixing reality converter, reality composer. What was the iPhone app called? Reality composer. There you go. Sorry. Everyone has so many apps, and there's another app that I also use called Scaniverse, but Reality Composer is a is another app that allows you to be able to scan 3D objects. So really easy. You just have the piece of dessert in front of you, and then it asks you, do you want to record an object? And if you're ready, it'll guide you on what to do. Very, 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 very fun. So, so we can play around with that. Um, yeah, if you have any, and then a good, we'll probably open up a Google Drive folder to drop your files in there.
Mhm.
Please don't make it too large. We'll make it small and simple.
Yeah, zip
Maybe,
things up.
yeah, zip things up. The next thing we'll probably do is talk about, I don't really want to compress files, but I can talk about compressing files. But I don't want to talk, I don't,
Mhm.
it's, yeah, I don't want to compress any files.
I mean, for this test footage, we've got plenty of space.
Yeah.
We're not worried about that.
Hmm.
When it comes to actually gathering lots of footage from everybody, we need to come up with a good NAS or something to upload stuff to.
Yeah. We'll figure out
Or,
that as we know folks who are available.
or an S3 bucket or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Else
Oh, there was something that Melissa wrote down here called Strata.
interesting.
I'm reading the chat now. Tilt the YT video in post. Use a gimbal. Yep. Gimbal, reality kit. This might be a sort. Yeah, she posted about this. I was very curious. 250 gigabytes per month, pay up to 9 people. 24 per month, share and unlimited. Interesting.
Yeah, it might be worth just getting that for the duration.
Virtual file editing.
Virtual file.
Should like ask them, do you support immersive video content? And will be the reason why they will. This is interesting. Yeah, really interesting. Okay.
I mean, even if we only use it for transferring stuff, that might be worth it.
Yeah, that's true. Any other questions that folks want to ask? So we'll have this. This is our screen.
Yeah,
Volunteers
I have
needed.
2 quick questions.
Yeah.
What's the format that you want us to send if when we get to the point where we're sending stereo or 180 stereo content? And then my little quick question is, could you just talk for just a second about the difference between 3D, 180, and spatial? Because I know there's difference, but I'm just not 100% sure I am clear on, because they're both require 2 cameras. So what is the difference between 3D 180 and spatial video?
So there isn't really a 3D on this platform. Like the spatial is the little like rectangle kind of glimpse that you can capture on your iPhone. So that's spatial video. And it has some 3D depth, kind of like a Gaussian splat. And then there's also Apple in Vision OS 26 supported kind of legacy 180 and 360 video formats that can have spatial depth in those 2 things. So the only real difference, and I think Paolo had it on one of the slides earlier, the only real difference is one is in a dome and just looking at 180, the other is 360. But their idea with this change in Vision OS 26 is that they're going to support these older file formats or other file formats as long as we can add the metadata that was called the video profile, Apple something profiles.
Yeah.
So they're both basically 2 cameras, right? They're both essentially stereo, but one has stereo 180 and one is stereo in a more rectilinear format. Is that right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah.
Spatial video is rectilinear, the Apple format, and then older school, so to speak, like 180 or 360 is rectangular, it's more in the sphere. And then with APMP, you can now bring that into the Apple ecosystem as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So one thing this is a very, very, very subtle thing that I have noticed is spatial video that's captured. And if you try to separate spatial video to a side by side and then combine them back into spatial, you'll notice that something is lost on the corners. Pay attention to the corners when you try to. This was something that, like when you're watching the experience, you'll notice that you will see those areas bleed through, but then on 3D that's turned spatial, it doesn't have those corners really nicely done. That's the additional metadata that I've noticed that it tries to add. It's very, very subtle, but that's if it's turns, yeah, that's what I've noticed that's lost in translation. Because I've tried editing spatial by turning it to when there were no apps first. I turned the spatial to side by side, edited it, and then combined it again to spatial. But I've lost information on the sides of my frame.
Is that to do with how in spatial you have kind of like the blurred edges when you go into the immersive mode, and it kind of like, opens out and kind of blurs the edges, that they're kind of doing something there?
Yeah.
And what format do you think we should be working on to produce to send to Mike Bundy or whoever's working on the app? What's the file format for the 180 if we were going to do 180 stereo? because I'll be generating it in CGI, so I won't be shooting video. I'll be generating 3D rendered content.
We can send it in an MOV container with APMP. That's one. We can also convert it to Apple Immersive Video Utility, if we Apple Immersive Video format. So we just need, so when you hook up a Apple Immersive Video camera to your DaVinci, it gives you a profile of that camera. So that, because that profile is essentially what tells the Vision Pro how to position all the frames properly. When you put a 180 Canon and you export it, it will save it as that Apple Immersive Video in that format, and it'll be easy for you to load it in. So we can either send it as MOV container, MOV MP4, MP4 container with APMP in MVHEVC. These are also still MVHEVC, and the audio is, it can be mux or it can be separate. Depends on how we're handling it in the this is the audio, the spatial audio.
Yeah. So
Is
one
there
of
any
the
benefit in, sorry, I was just going to say, I wonder if it's better in some ways to deliver in a high, like in ProRes 422 HQ or something where, and then we can always, press it down, but we have the kind of the higher quality footage to work with.
Yeah, you can be able to export it as ProRes. It'll be huge. It'll be like 30 or 50 gigabytes, and your audio can be saved as, I'm gonna see if I can open one here. I can show you the export formats that are available here in DaVinci and in Spatial Gen later. So let's say I can upload the AIVU or ProRes. It asks me for the AIME file, the zip file, and then the reason why they made an uploader is because it will time out if you try to upload a 30 or 50 gigabyte file. That's why they had to do an uploader, which is hopefully this is right. I've been running into this bug where the thing crashes because it cannot find the files in. Do not crash. Do not crash. Okay. So when you do the bundle, the final output is ProRes 422Q, and for 320, you can change the timeline depending on that. The audio is BWF. You got to do the ASAF master. The review is a smaller file. But this is also a good deliverable file, H.265. It's just a very huge file. It'll be like 30, 50, 20, 30 gigs, or yeah, 80, 100 gigs just for that ProRes, and that's like 5 minutes. And uploading that's already wild. So I have made the conscious decision on Lalo to export these videos as H.265 and MEHEVC and make this the Apple Spatial Audio format MP4, and then that's it. And my files are only like 10, 11 gigs, and my audio files like 30, 50 megabytes. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm not, because I do not have something that can manage something that insane. So those are the options that we have. I'd be okay going with this, but I'm
curious what Apple's using in Apple TV. Like when we go watch a 20-minute video, I'm assuming it's kind of downloading it to the device. Has anybody kept an eye on the on-device to storage to see how big those things are?
They're like 5, 8 gigs downloaded. because the way Spatial Gen does theirs is when you upload, I'm going to show you the, so when I upload something in Spatial Gen like this one, so I upload a file, asks me here what format. Once that file is up, like for example this one, I create a new stream. So I would probably have a ProRes version. Here it has a bitrate ladder, which is the thing you do with a HLS, and this is the bitrate deliverable. So it'll have multiple formats that are there. You can do this on Amazon, code it out, but you can do that on Compressor. It can compress all those files. You can create it. It's going to process the jobs of all of this. It creates the URL M38 stream, which is the same thing that Apple provides. So I can paste that. That's the thing that's receiving when someone opens it, and it dynamically adapts based on your internet connection if it wants to get the 20, the 30, the 50, the 80. And then you also have access to the full resolution download, which you can access by an API. You don't want to like just download the link here. There's an API to properly download properly with authentication and stuff. And then that's what you use to download. So there it is. It downloads the AIVU file. And if you can, yeah, I saw you unmute, Alan. If you can share more, I guess here, if you have stuff to add.
Oh no, I was just saying if you're capturing on the iPhone in Spatial, or just at all, you can turn on Spatial and it'll actually record a stereo track and the APAC track. There's actually 2 audio tracks. So then when people come to, edit on a timeline and they want either the stereo or the Spatial, you can choose in post.
Yep. That's true. It records both. When you open up Logic and you import, asks you, here it is. This was from my app. It both records the APAC and the stereo one.
I wrote the code to do that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was actually really nice. I was trying to understand before when I was converting my immersive audio, like for example, APAC, I only did a immersive. I didn't throw a stereo track in there, and I wondered why when I would switch it to stereo, it sounded worse. I didn't know I could actually store both, which I should have known way better, but I didn't. So all of my audio files only have an immersive audio track in there. And
yeah, there's metadata in there that relates to tracks. One has to be a primary and the other one's a backup. So the primary is actually the stereo and the APAC is the secondary. There's some metadata there that has to, so that players that don't know anything about APAC will play the stereo just by default.
Yep. Yeah. So to answer your question, Michael, I really want high resolution, but if we cannot manage it or transfer it, we may need to go to the smaller route. Right now, I don't know yet because we haven't set up that whole pipeline yet.
But would you say, just in general practice, it would be better to do the MOV container file or the AIVU file?
MOV ProRes asks for final as the one that you'll be converting to all your different deliverables. That would be
Okay.
That's my because AIVU is a final delivery format.
And so you would go to that route before we send it to you, is to go the AIVU format, or you're just
MOV.
saying when you're working MOV?
We'll do the MOV. Yeah, we'll do the MOV.
Okay.
Perfect. And then that will also give you it will export a Final Cut XML file, an AIME file, an audio, and the MOV. That's what comes out of the DaVinci Resolve. It actually exports like 4 or 5 files, I believe.
Okay.
because those are all crucial in creating the AI VU out of it. There is a authoring immersive video Apple developer. This was their sample code with it. The funny thing was, where is that? Xcode authoring. Somewhere in here. I found out that you can actually author an immersive video just without any of these files. So that's I found that you can create an Apple immersive video without some of the metadata, just with certain types of files. So don't have the sample video, but yeah. So we're able to access this and figure this out once we start with with sample footage of people that they have shared, so the programmers can start experimenting, and then we'll send out a form so folks can be able to give us their availability and schedules on when they can film and who would be able to meet up and do that. That'll all be pendant on story. Once I kind of get an idea of like, okay, this is what this person's talking about, we'll let them know, and then they can schedule themselves on that schedule. They'll just
Yeah.
And,
We have a lot of
and
people on the team who can kind of act as interviewers slash directors, to kind of, so people don't necessarily have to film alone. They can have someone in an AirPod or off camera somewhere that
yeah. The schedule will help us understand when they're filming, and then we can have a iPhone or a Mac there so someone can ask them questions and it'll feel like natural as well.
If anybody's, I know a number of you are in the Bay Area. I'm not, I used to live there, but I live in Rockland now, which is about 3 hours away, two and a half. So, but if I can get down there to meet up if somebody needs help.
Mm-hmm. I am in the Bay, so anything depending on availability of everyone. I know Matthew, yep, is in the Bay Area as well. A little further, but yes, he's here.
awesome. Great
Cool.
job, man. Great information. I took a lot of notes.
I can talk about close-ups, but these are no longer valid in immersive video.
Different film
Like,
language, right?
yeah, the film languages, they aren't valuable anymore. They actually shock you more, but they're good to experiment if you want to see how you feel about it. So like extreme long shot, medium shot, all of those have all they've all changed with the the things we've learned about immersive and spatial video. Yeah. If you have any folks, or if you have any suggestions on what the second workshop can focus on, if folks are interested on editing or something more technical, I can go into it. I didn't want to go too technical here. Just wanted to just give you an idea of that. It is very layered. There's a lot of things you can talk about. There's so many nuances, and we're going to help you guide. We're going to guide you through it to make sure that your video will be the best possible experience that we can deliver on this documentary.
So he's not here today, but we may want to do Sam recently launched a news company using spatial video, and he's
Nice.
developed a set of kind of best practices for filming with spatial video, and he offered to do kind of a quick workshop on that.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah.
We may want to do that before we start having people capture a lot of stuff. Like here's like 5 or 6 lessons that you should be aware of, like where you're placing it, background, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all spatial video too. I've been checking some of those out.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely worth checking that one out. It's journalism, so it kind of has more of a immediacy to it. But yeah, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could
Paolo,
be.
have you? Oh,
And
sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just wondering if you'd used Reaper at all for spatial audio when you had the apps up with Logic and Pro Tools. Like that's one that I know it's cheaper. I've tried it and I didn't like it as much, but it is another option for spatial
What,
audio.
what was it called?
Reaper,
Oh,
REAPE. Yeah,
Oh, Dan Seidman mentioned this. I have not tried it.
yeah, yeah. I didn't like it myself, but I know it's at a better price point, and a lot of people do like it. It's very customizable. It's the guy who actually made Winamp back in the day, and he made a lot of money from Winamp, and then he's put Reaper out. It's just kind of like a passion project.
I didn't know Winamp was for sale. Sorry, I was a kid when I had my computer, it just had Winamp on it. Like I didn't, I never knew Winamp was for sale. Okay. Uh,
Yeah, great
there's
stuff.
there's this one video. It's quite old. Um, always nice. It's an old introduction to stereoscopic 3D 180 by Canon. Has some good starting lessons there. You can also download, export this, and view it on your headset to give you an idea of what it feels like when it's farther or nearer. It's not super high resolution because it's at 4K, so the it's a good start. Cool. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Val. That
Yeah,
was really great information. I'm still just kind of blown away by all this.
yeah, I'm excited to get started. So, oh,
Mhm.
there you go. Nice. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks a lot.
well, I'm going to stop the recording here.